Human beings love to see themselves in mirrors, in photographs, in the eyes of others. But have you ever stopped to wonder where this love turns dangerous? Why do some people never admit they're wrong? Why does it seem, for certain people, that only their own pain is real, while other people's suffering barely registers at all? The truth is, a small amount of narcissism lives inside every human being. It's natural, even necessary. But when this self-love grows out of a deep wound, it transforms into a quiet, destructive force, one that breaks relationships, tears families apart, and traps a person inside their own reflection. Robert Greene calls this one of the most misunderstood laws of human nature, because what we often mistake for confidence may actually be a mask over a deep emptiness. In this episode, you will learn how a single childhood wound can change a person for life, how to recognize a deep narcissist beneath their charm and sweet words, and how to protect your own sense of reality from their influence. You are listening to the laws of human nature. Get ready, because this episode might just force you to look inward at yourself. Let's begin. There is a word we throw around so carelessly that we have almost stopped hearing it. We call a friend narcissistic because they post too many photographs of themselves. We call a coworker narcissistic because they talk about their achievements at dinner. We use the word as an insult, a punchline, a way of dismissing someone we find irritating. But underneath this casual word lies one of the oldest and most misunderstood forces in human nature, a force that lives in some quiet form inside every single one of us. To understand it, we have to go back to where the word itself was born. In an old Greek story, a beautiful young man named Narcissus wandered through a forest and stopped beside a still pool of water. He looked down and saw his own reflection, and for the first time, he understood what beauty truly meant. He could not look away. Days passed. He forgot to eat, forgot to sleep, forgot the world around him, until he wasted away, staring at an image that could never look back at him with real love. The story is not really about vanity. It is about isolation. It is about a person so consumed by an image of themselves that they lose all connection to anything outside it. This is the seed of what psychologists would later call narcissism, but the truth is more complicated and far more human than the myth suggests. Every child who has ever lived begins life as, in a sense, a narcissist. An infant does not know where its own body ends and its mother's begins. It cries, and the world responds. It wants, and if it is fortunate, its wants are met. This is not a flaw in the infant. It is a necessary stage. Psychologists call it primary narcissism, and it is the foundation of the human self. But as the child grows, something has to happen for that foundation to turn into a healthy adult. The child has to slowly discover that it is not the center of the universe, that other people have their own inner lives, their own pain, their own needs, that the world does not simply exist to serve them. This discovery is called empathy, and it is not something we are born fully possessing. It is something we are taught, mostly without words. through the way we are loved. Imagine a child whose parent looks at them with warmth, who mirrors their joy, comforts their sadness. And this is the crucial part. Sometimes gently says no. A child who is told, in 1,000 small moments, you matter. And so does everyone else. This child grows into what we might call a healthy narcissist. They have enough self-love to face the world with confidence, but not so much that they cannot see anyone beyond themselves. They can be hurt without collapsing. They can lose an argument without needing revenge. They can love another person as a full human being, not as a mirror for their own reflection. But now imagine a different childhood. A parent who is cold, distracted. A parent who is excessively doting, who worships the child as if they were a small god, praising them constantly without ever teaching them to see beyond themselves. In both cases, something goes wrong in the same place. The child never fully receives what they needed. A stable sense that they are loved simply for existing. And so a wound opens deep in the psyche, one that will never fully close. This is where the deep narcissist is born. A person shaped by this wound grows into an adult who, on the outside, may seem entirely ordinary, even charming, even magnetic. But inside, they carry an emptiness that never stops aching, a hunger for validation that no amount of praise can satisfy. Robert Greene describes this as the defining trait of the deep narcissist, a self that never fully solidified, and so must be endlessly reassured, endlessly admired, endlessly propped up by the outside world. Notice the word deep. This is not simply someone who enjoys attention. This is someone whose entire psychological survival depends on it. Watch how a deep narcissist moves through the world, and you begin to see the pattern. They cannot tolerate criticism because criticism threatens the fragile image they have built to cover the wound. Even the mildest correction can trigger a rage that seems wildly disproportionate to the offense, because to them, it is not disproportionate at all. It feels like an attack on their very existence. They surround themselves with people who flatter them, and they slowly push away anyone who tells them the truth. Over time, their circle narrows to those willing to mirror them back, endlessly, the way that still pool of water once mirrored Narcissus. They also struggle, often invisibly, with real empathy. They may say the right words. They may even believe in the moment that they feel compassion. But watch closely during a longer conversation, and you notice their eyes drifting back to themselves. The story shifts, somehow, to their own experience, their own suffering, their own achievements. This is not necessarily cruelty. It is often something closer to psychological survival. They are, in a very real sense, unable to fully imagine an inner world that is not their own, because their own inner world has never felt secure enough to leave. This is what makes deep narcissists so dangerous in relationships, families, and workplaces. In the beginning, they are often intoxicating to be around. Their confidence is magnetic. Their charm feels like warmth. They tell you exactly what you want to hear, because on some unconscious level, they have learned that flattery is a currency, and they are fluent in it. But the moment you stop serving their need for admiration, the moment you disagree or succeed in a way that outshines them, or simply need something from them in return, the warmth can vanish with startling speed, replaced by coldness, blame, or fury. History and everyday life are full of quieter versions of this pattern. The boss who cannot bear to hear that a project has failed and instead searches for someone to blame. The partner who turns every conversation, even about your own struggles, back toward their own feelings. The friend who disappears the moment you need support, but reappears the instant they need an audience. None of these people necessarily see themselves as narcissists. Most of them do not. They simply experience the world as a place that constantly, unfairly, fails to give them what they are owed. So what do we do with this knowledge? Robert Greene's answer is not simply to label people and run from them, though sometimes distance is exactly the right choice. His deeper answer is to turn this understanding inward first. Because here is the uncomfortable truth this law forces us to face. Narcissism is not a category that some people belong to and others do not. It is a spectrum, and every human being who has ever lived has a place on it. The question worth asking is not, is that person a narcissist? But how healthy is my own narcissism, and how healthy is theirs? A healthy narcissist, which is the goal, not the absence of self-love, but its balance, can look inward honestly. They can ask themselves, in a moment of anger or defensiveness, whether they are reacting to what actually happened or to an old wound being touched. They can hear criticism as information rather than as annihilation. They can celebrate someone else's success without feeling diminished by it. This is not weakness. Greene argues it is, in fact, the foundation of real strength, because a person who does not need constant external validation cannot be so easily controlled by flattery and cannot be so easily wounded by insult. Learning to recognize deep narcissism in others is also, in its own way, an act of self-protection. The warning signs are rarely loud at first. They are small inconsistencies, a story that changes slightly each time it is told, a pattern of friendships that all seem to end the same way, a person who is never, ever wrong. The earlier you notice the pattern, the more choice you retain in how close you allow that person into your life. And if you recognize pieces of this pattern in yourself, and if you are honest, you probably will, because we all carry some trace of that child staring into the water. The work is not shame. Shame only feeds the same wound that created the problem in the first place. The work is awareness. It is the quiet, ongoing practice of asking whether you are truly seeing the people around you or only seeing your own reflection in them. Because in the end, that is the real tragedy of the myth. Narcissus did not die because he was evil. He died because he could never look at anything or anyone without seeing himself. The antidote was never punishment. It was simply the ability to look up from the water and see another face looking back. Let us slow down for a moment and look more closely at how the deep narcissist actually operates, because the pattern is subtler than most people expect, and subtlety is precisely what makes it so effective. In the early stage of any relationship with a deep narcissist romantic, professional, even a friendship, there is often what feels like an extraordinary connection. They seem to understand you instantly. They mirror your interests, your sense of humor, even your wounds, with uncanny precision. This is not usually calculated deception in the way we imagine a con artist plotting. It is something closer to instinct, honed over a lifetime of needing to read other people quickly in order to secure their approval. The deep narcissist has spent years learning what people want to hear, because their own sense of safety has always depended on being liked, admired, or needed. In this early phase, you may feel more seen than you have ever felt before. This is the trap, and it is rarely intentional in the way a villain in a story is intentional. It works precisely because it does not feel like manipulation. It feels like chemistry. Then, slowly, the shift begins. Small requests that once felt reasonable start to feel one-sided. Your achievements are met with a strange silence, or subtly reframed as somehow connected to their own effort or guidance. When you bring up a problem, the conversation has an odd tendency to end up back on their struggles, their stress, their exhaustion. And when you finally raise a concern directly, gently, carefully, the way you would with anyone you respect, something changes in their face. Not anger exactly, not at first. Something more like disbelief, as though you have said something almost unthinkable. This is often the first true glimpse beneath the surface, because the deep narcissist does not experience disagreement the way most people do. To them, it is not a difference of opinion. It is a threat to the entire structure holding them together. Robert Greene points to a particular danger that emerges from this dynamic, one that is easy to miss until you have lived through it. The people around a deep narcissist often begin to doubt their own perceptions, because the narcissist can be so convincing, so certain, so quick to reframe any conflict as someone else's overreaction. The people closest to them slowly start to wonder if they themselves are the unreasonable ones. A partner begins to apologize for feelings they have every right to feel. An employee begins to assume that every failed project must somehow be their own fault, even when the evidence points elsewhere. This slow erosion of self-trust is one of the quiet, corrosive effects of prolonged exposure to deep narcissism. And it is exactly why recognizing the pattern early matters so much. It is worth pausing here to distinguish between two very different kinds of people who might both, at a glance, seem self-focused. There is the person who is simply confident, who believes in their own abilities, who can speak about their achievements without shame, who takes up space in a room without apologizing for it. This is not narcissism in the damaging sense. This is healthy self-regard, and the world badly needs more of it, not less. Then there is the deep narcissist, whose confidence is not rooted in genuine security, but in constant performance. The difference reveals itself over time, in private, unobserved moments. The confident person can sit quietly with failure. The deep narcissist cannot sit with it at all. It must be denied, deflected, or blamed on someone else. Because failure threatens the entire fragile architecture of the self. There is also a quieter, less obvious form of narcissism that Greene draws attention to, one that rarely gets discussed because it does not look like arrogance at all. Some people build their fragile self-image not around greatness, but around suffering. They present themselves again and again as the perpetual victim of circumstance, of other people's cruelty, of a world that has never treated them fairly. On the surface, this looks like the opposite of grandiosity, but underneath, the mechanism is identical. The story is still, always, about them. Every conversation eventually circles back to their pain, their mistreatment, their unique and unmatched hardship. Sympathy becomes the currency instead of admiration. But the transaction is the same one. The world exists to attend to them. Understanding this helps explain something that confuses many people. Why narcissism can be so difficult to spot in the people we love most. We tend to imagine narcissists as loud, boastful, impossible to miss. But some of the most deeply narcissistic people we will ever meet are soft-spoken, self-deprecating, even generous in small, visible ways designed to be noticed and praised. The common thread is never volume. It is the underlying inability to hold another person's full reality in mind without it circling back to their own. So how, practically, does a person begin to build the kind of healthy self that resists both extremes, neither collapsing into constant self-doubt, nor hardening into a fragile need for constant admiration? Greene suggests it begins with radical honesty about your own reactions. The next time you feel a flash of anger at criticism, pause before responding and ask yourself a simple question. Is this anger about what was actually said, or about how it made me feel exposed? The next time you notice envy creeping in at someone else's success, resist the urge to dismiss or diminish it, and instead ask what that envy is quietly telling you about your own unmet desires. This kind of internal honesty is uncomfortable. It is far easier to project our insecurities outward, onto other people, than to sit with them directly. But this discomfort is exactly where growth happens. It also helps to actively practice a kind of curiosity toward the people around. You not performed interest, but real attention to what someone else might be experiencing beneath their words. Ask questions and actually listen to the answers, without immediately steering the conversation back toward your own story. Notice when you interrupt, and notice why. Over time, this practice rewires something fundamental. It builds the empathetic muscle that the deep narcissist, through no real fault of their own early life, never had the chance to strengthen. For those who find themselves entangled with a deep narcissist parent, a partner, Robert Greene's guidance is neither naive optimism nor cold abandonment. He does not suggest that every deep narcissist is beyond change, but he is honest about how rare real change is, because it requires the narcissists themselves to feel safe enough to face the wound they have spent a lifetime avoiding. What he does suggest is protecting your own sense of reality. Keep a quiet, private record of what actually happens. separate from how it gets retold to you afterward. Maintain relationships outside the narcissist's orbit. People who can reflect back an honest, grounded picture of events and recognize that setting boundaries with such a person is not cruelty. It is, in fact, one of the few things that might ever allow them a genuine chance to grow. Because as long as the world keeps supplying endless admiration or endless sympathy, there is never any real incentive to change. We began with a myth about a beautiful young man who could not look away from his own reflection. But perhaps the more useful modern image is not Narcissus at the pool, but every one of us at different moments in our lives, catching our reflection in a shop window and adjusting, just slightly, how we stand. That instinct is not evil. It is deeply, unavoidably human. The question this law leaves us with is not whether we have some narcissism in us. We do. All of us, without exception. The real question is whether we are willing to look past our own reflection long enough to see the person standing beside us fully as someone every bit as real as ourselves. Thank you for watching.